ready. In his presidential address on the seminar organized by the Karnataka Chamber of Commerce and Industries, the president addressed the gathering. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to refer to the problems experienced by the members in the matter of export. We know fully well that it is the duty of those engaged in commerce and trade to step up the exports of various items. As a matter of fact, in all annual and special meetings, we have been trying our level best to find out ways and means of how we could cooperate with the government in stepping up the exports. We have to do a lot in this regard. It is in this connection we request you to kindly instruct the concerned officials at all levels to exhibit some amount of imagination in dealing with our suggestions, as you know, when it is a question of exporting any item, we have to face many problems like the need to maintain quality, keeping pace with the competitive prices offered by other countries, setting up necessary publicity in other countries, and ever so many aspects. There are also certain other items and areas which we cannot openly discuss in a conference like this. All these are items which involve huge expenditure. If we want to export very high quality materials, we have to use best quality raw materials. The government must therefore come forward with necessary concessions in the matter of import of some raw materials by way of tax concessions, by way of reduction in license fee, and so many other factors. I would like to give a few suggestions that the bigger is the task, the greater is the responsibility. The work has grown and continues to grow. It has already covered a substantial part of the country, and in the years to come, we hope that it will reach every village in this country. Mere extent, of course, means little. It is the quality of work that counts and the spirit with which it is undertaken. Essentially, what we are trying to do is to bring about a peaceful and yet far reaching revolution in this vast land of India. If we succeed, and succeed we will, then we shall have done in our generation something worthwhile and something that will deserve permanent record. In my view, the entire world today demands an integrated view, and if we do not succeed in achieving this, conflict and disaster may well descend upon us. But for the moment, let us forget the world and its problems and think of India and her problems. These are big enough. We want an integrated India, not only politically but emotionally. The essence of planning is to bring about this integration through numerous approaches. Integration means cooperation at all levels and understanding that progress lies in the common efforts. Planning means a close coordination of the work of the central government with that of the states. At the center, there has to be that coordination between the manifold activities of the union government. Each ministry does not stand by itself, it is a part of the government of India. This idea of planning, coordination, and integration should spread in villages and towns and states. I would like to opine that the greatest emphasis has to be held on the efficiency of functioning of these organizations. The judgment and marketing ability of those who are operating the stores must be sound. No time and effort should be spared in creating this confidence in the members of the stores and in the public that the managements have the capacity and capability to run these stores well. The success of the movement depends upon the confidence that you build up goods. The other most important aspect in which confidence of members needs to be built up is the capacity and the integrity of the people who manage the stores. The people have the integrity and the capacity. This movement will undoubtedly grow rapidly. In conclusion, I would like to thank all of you gathered here for the patient hearing given to me. Madam, I invite your kind attention to the letters which I have written previously in the matter of settlement of my claim for the damages sustained to my goods while transporting. You have not replied to my notice asking you to pay a sum of rupees 25,000 as per the details furnished in my notice. Your local representative brought goods in a very badly damaged condition during the month of July last, and which, as you could see from the certificate, he examined some items which were visible but let the details of items unchecked. He also inspected the goods and stated that he would report to your company. I listed out all the damaged articles and the estimated damage and sent a claim to your office in the meantime. In this letter, I had asked your company to arrange for the inspection of the damaged goods within 10 days. Since no such inspection was made, it was presumed that the company has no intention of doing so but had accepted the claim made. Subsequently, at the oral request of your local representative, a copy of the claim was also furnished to your head office. In your present letter, you are asking for estimate of repairs for several items. When the goods damaged are considerable, I have no means of getting estimates for the repairs. It is to be noted that many of the goods are irreparable and constitute total loss. In this particular case, I had insured the goods with your company, and therefore it was up to your company to survey the damages immediately and compensate the loss. Your company has neglected its fundamental duty and allowed the matter to lie without a reply. Thanking you and awaiting an early action in the matter. Yours faithfully.